Hello and welcome back once again to the Wrestling Rant. It is time for the Raw rant from Raw from July 29th, 2013. Show just ended. And to be honest, I don't know what exact city they were in, but apparently it was somewhere in Texas. As SmackDown was in Corpus Christi. And they did film, supposedly they filmed a whole bunch of shows worth of shows last week. So I guess they probably just stayed in Texas for most of that. So, whatever. Anyways. Yes. So, the show starts with a recap. The same recap that they showed on SmackDown of Cena choosing Bryan, and then Bryan's gauntlet and Ryback putting Bryan through the table and Cena coming out to help him, blah, blah, blah. After that, we cut into the arena and Vince comes out with Brad Maddox. And Vince starts talking and so yeah, so he comes out. Vince starts talking, and he hands the mic to Maddox, and Maddox apologizes for what he said was a boneheaded mistake of letting Cena choose his own opponent. And then Vince starts talking again, and basically all Vince is doing is basically saying that Daniel Bryan's a piece of shit. And that's the whole storyline behind this. Vince doesn't like Daniel Bryan because he's too small, and because of this and that. And it's like, Vince, you are the biggest dumbass right now. You don't know how to recognize real talent anymore. Not that I think you ever did. I really doubt you ever did. But in any event, Vince is running down Bryan, and then of course Bryan comes out.
Greetings, human.
Whoa. But Bryan comes out, and he's wants to talk with Vince, and so Vince says, "I got this." So Maddox leaves, and Vince and Bryan go back and forth talking about all this crap. And Bryan, the gist of what Vince is saying is that everything that Cena said about Bryan, all the complimentary things, Vince is just saying that Cena's just lying his ass off. He says that Cena's a manipulator, and I'm like, since when has Cena ever been a manipulator? I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't like the guy, but I mean, aside from real life, he's never really been a manipulator. So, unless Vince is actually trying to break his own kayfabe, whatever. But yeah. And basically all that Bryan is saying that, while Vince is saying that Cena only picked you because he knows you can't beat him and he wants to win, obviously, Bryan says that he can beat him, and that he wants Vince to listen to the WWE Universe. And it's pretty obvious that the Universe wants Bryan to win, and they want a new WWE champion. And I mean, that is obviously true. I am so sick to death of seeing John Cena as the WWE champion. I am sick to death of seeing John Cena hold any frickin' title in this company. Even the fact that he holds down a job with this company makes me sick. But anyways, that's pretty much the end of that segment. And Bryan leaves, and as he's leaving, the Shield music hits. And I'm thinking, are we going to do this again where we're going to tease the Shield to beat the hell out of McMahon? Because that would be awesome. But no, by the time the Shield gets down to the ring, Vince is gone. Apparently, the Shield are just out for a match that they're going to have. But it cuts to commercial, and when they come back, they recap, again the same recap from SmackDown, the recap of the Shield beating up Henry and then the Usos making the save, and this was last week on Raw. And when we get done with the recap, Mark Henry and the Usos are already in the ring, so guess who's gonna fucking lose? Yeah, spoiler alert. The match starts, Shield versus Henry and the Usos. It's actually a decent match, despite Henry and the Usos fucking being terrible. The Shield guys actually managed to drag it to a decent match. There's a commercial in the match somewhere, and the finish of the match is Ambrose nails one of the Usos with the headlock driver and gets the win. Before that, I know Henry got speared by Reigns, and then Reigns got knocked out of the ring and beat up a little bit outside the ring, whatever. But after the match, Henry decides to attack the Shield guys, and he chases them off. They leave with their belts and whatever the fuck. And so the commentators hype up the double main event for later. Of course, Bryan versus Kane, and then Cena versus Ryback in a tables match. And speaking of Ryback, they cut to something from earlier today, where you see it's like a catering table in the backstage area, and there's some random dudes getting some food from the catering table, and then Ryback comes up. And he starts bullying one of the guys. Pushes the dude up against the wall, slaps some food in his face. And then he picks the guy up and puts him through the damn table. I don't get why they would want to show us this. This seems like something that would be a lawsuit. If we didn't know that the guy who took the bump was probably a trained wrestler anyways. He's probably one of the NXT students, I'm not sure. But anyways, after that they cut to a commercial. And when they come back, I thought we were done with these, but we get a Wyatt family video. And basically all this is a recap of everything that they've done so far. Beating up Kane, beating up R-Truth, beating up Justin Gabriel and the 3MB from Main Event. Yeah, that happened. I don't go over Main Event, so you'll never... Yeah. If you want to watch it, I'm sure you can find it online somewhere. From what I hear, Main Event and Superstars are actually the places to watch if you want to see good matches. Because basically that's all they do on Main Event, is they just do matches. They don't really have much storyline stuff. There's like no promos, there's like no backstage stuff, it's just matches. So if you want to see some good matches, go ahead and watch. It's probably the only place you're ever going to see Kurt Hawkins or any of the younger guys. But anyways, after that gets done, the Wyatt family video, they cut back to Brad Maddox in his office backstage. Kane comes up, and he's looking for the Wyatt family, and Maddox basically tells him, look, they're not here tonight, but if you want to send a message to them, you should do so in your match later tonight with your friend Daniel Bryan. And that's pretty much the end of that segment. They cut back out to the arena, and RVD comes out. And he comes out and he gets in the ring, and then they cut to another freaking commercial. And when they come back, they recap Del Rio and RVD from SmackDown, the match that they had, the completely shit match that was about a minute long at the most. But yeah, after the recap is over, Fandango's music hits, and out he comes with Summer Rae. And Johnny gets in the ring, and it's looking like we're going to have a match with RVD and Fandango. Yeah, so this match actually goes fairly decently for a while. Fairly back and forth for the most part. And what ends up happening is Johnny gets knocked out of the ring somehow. I don't really remember how. But, of course, Summer goes over to him and helps him up. And the two of them basically just walk up the ramp. And Johnny gets counted out. So RVD wins by countout. And the announcer, of course, makes the announcer, your winner by countout is Rob Van Dam. And Johnny has a mic up on the stage, and he goes, "It's Fandango." Like he thinks they pronounced his name wrong. Yeah, it's getting old at this point. Can we get Johnny back to a good gimmick? This Fandango thing, I think, has run its course, and it's getting annoying now. He's a good wrestler, don't get me wrong. I like the guy. But I think he's done all he can with this crappy gimmick. It's a crappy gimmick. Let's just face it. It's a crappy gimmick. A ballroom dancer? Really? Did anybody really think that was going to get him over that much? Or take him anywhere? If they thought so, they were wrong. It's a bad gimmick. Even if you put it on somebody good like Johnny, it's just not going to work. Anyways, they cut backstage. AJ and Big E are walking through one of the hallways, whatever the hell. They cut to a commercial. Or no. They're not walking through one of the hallways. AJ and Big E are backstage talking. And all AJ says is, she's sick of Big E doing nothing. He hasn't helped her at all. He just lets Caitlyn beat AJ up and get speared and everything, and that's all that she basically says. And AJ's starting to think that Big E might actually be attracted to her or something. She's kind of like teasing him. And she just kind of skips off and leaves Big E standing there. And then they cut to the commercial. When we come back, Caitlyn is in the ring. And then AJ comes out with Big E. And so we're going to have Caitlyn versus AJ. And they actually put on a good match. Caitlyn winds up winning with another spear out of nowhere. And again, Big E doesn't really do anything to help or stop Caitlyn or anything. But after the match, Caitlyn leaves, and AJ starts freaking out, screaming her head off again. She's pissed. Big E tries to get in the ring to, he gets in the ring to try and calm her down. And then Ziggler's music hits. And he comes out and gets on the stage and he starts talking. And basically all he says is, congratulations on your loss. And maybe Big E can be your shoulder to cry on. And maybe you can return the favor to him here in a little bit, because I want a match with Big E right now. And Ziggler starts heading to the ring. And they cut to commercial, and when we come back, they're both in the ring, and we got a referee. This is apparently an impromptu match, but it happens anyways. Big E versus Ziggler. The match went on for a bit. Fairly, back and forth kind of stuff. But the match ends up ending when I think Ziggler threw Big E out of the ring, and all of a sudden I was noticing throughout the match that AJ's just kind of off in La La Land. She's standing there at ringside, and she's not happy, obviously. She just lost to Caitlyn, but she's just like playing with her hair and looking really cute while she's doing it, by the way. But she's just lost in her own thoughts. She's not even really paying attention to the match for the most part, until Ziggler actually starts getting control and she starts freaking out again. Ziggler throws Big E out. AJ jumps in the ring, and she just starts attacking Ziggler again, just scratching at his face, clawing at him, and of course, this gets Big E disqualified. So, yeah. Ziggler's able to get the hell out of the ring and get away from AJ. And AJ's still just freaking out in the ring. And Big E gets back in. And he's not happy with AJ because she just cost him the match. And then they give the announcement that Ziggler wins by DQ. And then, all of a sudden, Ziggler jumps back in the ring, hits the zigzag on Big E, and then jumps right back out of the ring. And so he leaves, and they cut backstage to Cena in the locker room. And then Bryan comes up to him, Daniel Bryan, and basically the gist of this is Bryan is trying to confront Cena about what Vince said earlier. Are you lying? Were you lying? Do you really think that I'm going to be an easy win for you? Are you really this manipulator? And Cena basically says, look, you're going to actually believe what Vince says, And Bryan says, you know what? Vince has always been honest with me. Right, whatever. They cut to a commercial break, and when they come back, Christian comes out. And then Del Rio comes out, and we're going to have us another match. And this was another good match. There was a commercial break in the middle of it. It went for a while. The finish ends up being Del Rio goes for the cross arm breaker. But as he comes down with it, Christian rolls through and rolls Del Rio up in like somewhat of a small package sort of thing, and he gets the 1, 2, 3. So Christian wins. Right. They hype up the main event again, and then they cut to another commercial, and when they come back, Wade Barrett is in the ring, and then Cody Rhodes comes out. And while he's coming out, they recap Cody taking the case from Sandow on SmackDown. And then the whole thing with Cody throwing the briefcase into the Gulf of Mexico and Sandow diving in after it and all this other stuff. After that, obviously we've got Barrett and Rhodes in the ring, and we start having a match. And it's actually an okay match. I don't really like either one of these guys, but you know what? It actually wound up being an okay match. The finish is... I'm trying to think of exactly how it happened. Oh yeah, I think I remember what it was. Barrett was going for some sort of a pump handle move on Cody. But as he lifts Cody up, Cody goes up and over and slips down the back, cinches Barrett up for the crossroads, hits it, and gets the win. So Cody wins, and then Sandow's music hits, and he comes out on the stage. And he says, "You know what, after what you did with my Money in the Bank briefcase, I decided to file a complaint with WWE management or something, and they already are gonna do something or whatever." And he basically just trash talks Cody some more, says that Cody's family is trash and paramount to carnival people, basically. And he basically says that Cody's not on his level because while Sandow comes from a very nice family, Cody's family sucks. And you know what? I hate to say it, but Sandow's not exactly wrong. Anyways, Sandow leaves, of course, and okay, yeah. They cut backstage to Kane in the locker room. Or no, Kane's walking through one of the hallways, coming out for the main event match. And then they cut to another hallway where Bryan's coming through a hallway for the match. And they say, "That's up next," and they cut to a commercial. And when they come back, they recap the opening segment, Vince talking down Bryan and blah blah. And they also recap Cena and Bryan earlier from in the locker room. And so, after that, Bryan comes out and Kane comes out, and of course it's time for one of our two main events for this evening. It's time for one of the two main events. Bryan and Kane. And it was actually a decent match. Right, so they actually put on a decent match. There's a commercial in between. And the ending of the match is Kane goes for the choke slam, but he lifts Bryan up, and Bryan comes down, cinches him into the small package, just like he did to Cesaro last week, and he gets the 1-2-3. So Bryan wins, but Bryan's celebrating, and Kane comes from behind and grabs Bryan and choke slams him anyways. And of course, Bryan rolls out of the ring and leaves. And Kane goes to do his pyro thing where he makes the friggin' corners blow up, because he didn't do that during his entrance. And I kind of noticed that, and I was like, why didn't he do that? But he goes for his pyro, and just as he's going for it, the lights cut out, and we cut into the stupid entrance video for the Wyatts. And of course, those fucking monkeys come on out, and Brie's sitting in his rocking chair again, and when the lights finally come back on, of course, Harper and Rowan are in the ring, and they try to go after Kane, but he slips out of the ring real quick and gets a chokehold on Brie. But of course, he doesn't do anything, and Rowan and Harper clobber him, and they start beating the fuck out of him again, and they beat him up, and then Wyatt gets in the ring and hits his stupid finisher on Kane, and then he cuts another promo mentioning the devil's favorite demon thing that Kane likes to call himself. And Bray says, "You ain't no demon," whatever. And he says, "You should be careful who you say those things around because you never know who's listening." And of course, they cut away real quick and they go to a commercial. And when they come back, they recap what just happened. And we get done with the recapping. Brie Bella and Natalya are both in the ring. And then they show a clip from earlier tonight of the Bellas talking backstage, and then Natalya comes up, and they're talking about the stupid Total Divas thing. And they start talking, and they basically call Natalya an ugly duckling. And that comes up because, of course, Brie and Natalya start having their match, and you might notice that Nikki's not at ringside. I was actually looking for her. I'm like, oh good, are they going to do their stupid switch thing again, a little twin magic? No, she's not even at ringside. They start having their match and whatever the fuck. Natalya gets the Bella down and starts going for the sharpshooter, of course. And you can hear the Bella screaming for help, and then you can hear this quack, 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 quack. It's Nikki coming out of the entranceway with a duck call. And she's doing it over the microphone, so it's loud. And she's doing all this quack, 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 and, Natalya's an ugly duckling bullshit. And this distracts Natty long enough for the Bella to get the quick roll-up on Natalya and get the win. Terrible, short, crappy match, having Natalya lose to the Bellas again. It's getting old. They cut backstage where Paul Heyman is, and he's there with Axel, and they're coming out for a match up next. And then they cut to another commercial. When they come back, R-Truth is in the ring. And then Axel comes out with Heyman, and Heyman talks on the way to the ring. And then Axel talks a little bit, and they get in the ring. And then, of course, it's time for match. Truth versus Curtis Axel. And I don't even really think this match actually had a real finish. Because what ends up happening is Axel hits his little neck breaker into a faceplant finishing move. I don't know what the hell he calls it. That move that I ripped off of Derek Bateman, or maybe it was Kurt Hawkins. I don't know who it is he stole it from. But he hits the move, and then out of nowhere comes CM Punk, who grabs Curtis Axel out of the ring, throws him up against the barricade. And this is basically just to incapacitate Axel for a minute so Punk can go after Heyman. And he goes after Heyman and he gets a hold of him, but Axel comes from behind and kind of distracts Punk long enough. Heyman runs away, and whatever. So, blah, blah, blah. The match between Truth and Axel didn't seem all that great anyways. It was actually fairly short. So, but whatever, who gives a fuck? After that segment, they cut backstage to Stephanie and Triple H, who are walking through one of the hallways backstage. They do more hype for the main event match, which is next, and they cut to commercial. When they come back, Triple H is in the office with Vince, and they're talking about, what Vince was saying to Bryan backstage. And Just more of this crap interjecting themselves into this match. It's just dumb. I don't get it. But whatever. Stephanie pops up, and then Vince leaves, and who gives a fuck? They cut back out to the arena, and they're showing the stage, and I noticed there is a shitload of tables lining the stage, lining the ramp, and then Cena's music hits. And so he comes out, and then Ryback comes out, and as Ryback is coming out, they do a recap of the bullying thing from that they showed earlier, him bullying the... I don't know if he was supposed to be one of the crew or something. I don't know, one of the production staff. I'm not really sure. But whatever, they're both in the ring and they start having this match. And despite both of them being complete fucking pieces of shit, this match was actually alright. There's a couple of spots with tables being broken, but neither of them actually goes through it. The match ends up ending in the ring. There's a table propped up against one of the corners. And Ryback had already meat-hooked Cena once. And was getting ready to charge him. Cena's in the corner with the table. And Ryback was going to plow through him to put him through the table. Cena gets out of the way, grabs Ryback, gets him up on his shoulders, gives him the attitude adjustment through the friggin' table, and he wins. And as he's celebrating, out comes Daniel Bryan, and he goes around the ring, and he grabs the belt away from the ring dude, or I guess it's like the timekeeper or whoever, who was getting ready to hand the belt to Cena. Bryan grabs it, and he gets in the ring. And Cena turns around and sees it, and he's all ready, like he's getting ready for a fight. But then Bryan holds the belt out like he's going to give it to Cena. And then Cena reaches for it. Bryan kind of jerks it away from him. And you can see him mouth like, "I'm going to win this from you at SummerSlam." And then Cena basically just grabs the damn belt away from Bryan anyways. Like a jerk-off. The jerk-off that he fucking is. And so he grabs it away, and you can see him, you ain't ready for this, or whatever the fuck, I don't know. It don't really matter. Cena takes off, and Bryan's music starts playing, and Bryan's going, "Yes, yes, yes," and that's where the show ends. So, all in all, the show was alright. Had a couple of decent matches. Take it from the top. Shield versus the Henry and the Usos was decent. RVD and Fandango was decent, but it had a shit finish. Caitlyn and AJ was actually a good match. Biggie and Ziggler was an okay match, but again, the DQ finish kind of fucked it up. Christian and Del Rio was good. Barrett versus Rhodes was okay. Bryan and Kane was actually a decent match. Brie versus Natalya was crap. And then frickin' Cena versus Ryback, the tables match, was actually alright. So like I said, overall the show was alright. Don't know exactly where they're going with Cena kind of being a jerk towards Bryan. I'm going to guess it won't really amount to much, because God knows Cena's not turning heel. It's just not gonna fucking happen. That guy is never gonna turn heel. Which is sad, because it might actually make him worth watching. Or at least somewhat watchable. Watching him be the frickin' face of the company when he's one of the worst wrestlers and one of the worst talkers. It's sickening. This guy's been the face of the fucking company for years now. Almost a decade. They've put him over people who are much better than him. He's gone over so many people, and it's ridiculous. He doesn't deserve it. He's not that good of a wrestler. He's not that good of a talker. I really just don't think he deserves all this. Sure, he's been the face of the company, and he's sold a lot of merchandise to the stupid kids who don't know any better, but that's all he's ever been good for anyways. And it's really pathetic to me. This company has been swirling the toilet bowl for about a decade now, which ironically coincides with when Cena came into the fucking company in the first place. So, draw the line. But anyways, I really doubt that Cena is going to turn heel. If anything, I'm pretty sure, I said this before, I think, on my last Raw review, but I'm pretty sure the way the match is going to go down, they're going to have a nice long match, hard fought and everything, and Bryan is somehow going to pull off a win. Somehow. He'll get that small package, or I doubt he'll get Cena to tap out in the yes lock. I really doubt that. Because Cena hardly ever taps out. That never give up attitude of his, that bullshit, But, I'm going to bet that Bryan will win, somehow. And as he's celebrating, Randy Orton will come in out of nowhere and clobber him with the briefcase. He'll cash in, and Randy will win the title. So Bryan will be WWE Champion, but only for a few seconds before Randy comes out, beats the shit out of him, RKO's him, and pins him for the win. I'm almost positive that's what's going to happen. Other than that, the only other matches for SummerSlam that they have confirmed, I don't even really know if they have really confirmed any matches for SummerSlam. Just that one. Apparently Del Rio is going to be picking his own opponent for SummerSlam, just like Cena got to. And he will be revealing his choice this coming Friday on SmackDown. We will see that when it happens, if I can actually watch it. I really don't know of any other matches that are going to happen at SummerSlam. Something tells me that Big E and Ziggler might go at it again. Maybe. Something tells me Caitlyn and AJ might have another match, probably for the Divas title. I don't know why they would give the Usos another tag team title shot, but they might. But I don't know why they would give Henry a U.S. title shot against Ambrose. Because, if they give the Usos a tag title shot, maybe what it'll be a 6-man match. And the stipulation will be all the titles are on the line, and if Henry and the Usos win, the Usos get the tag titles and Henry gets the U.S. title. I don't really know. I hope that don't happen, because I don't really want to see Henry or the Usos wrestle ever again. They suck. I really don't know anything else that's going to be happening at the pay-per-view, but we've got a couple of weeks still. Something tells me there's going to be something going on between Rhodes and Sandow. Obviously, they're building to a feud between these two guys, because Rhodes still pissy that Sandow double-crossed him at Money in the Bank and costed him the Money in the Bank win. Which, seriously, Cody, fuck off. You're not that good. You don't deserve it. Okay? Sandow is better than you in every fucking way. Kane will probably have something going with the Wyatts, possibly. Probably, I don't know. Obviously, Del Rio's going to have a match with somebody. And we'll probably have an Intercontinental title match with Curtis Axel, although I don't know who in the hell his opponent is going to be. Not that it matters, they're probably not going to let him lose. Other than that, I don't really know of anything else to say. That was Raw from July 29th, 2013, from somewhere in Texas. I honestly don't know. I don't even think they ever brought up the little box that said what city they were in. It might have been Corpus Christi again. I really don't know. But anyways, like I said, that was Raw. Don't know what else to say. So we will see you next time for SmackDown. Join us for that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Fumbling my own words here. Thank you for watching. Join us again whenever the hell I get up to doing the SmackDown video. We will see you for that.